My name is Christian Puckett. This is Peacekeeper. Let's go. What's up, Riley Russill?
What's up, Christian Puckett? What you doing, man?
Oh, dude, just recording a podcast. This is going to be the 16th episode of Peacekeeper podcast.
That's awesome, man.
Dude, thank you for coming on.
Appreciate you having me.
Of course, man. You're a true homie. I'm like entering the phase of this podcast. In fact, starting with this one, I feel like I'm entering the phase of going all in on guests. So I'm just going to try to have as many guests as possible from here on out. And if somebody bails, then I've been doing a few of them solo so far, but I think the last, because I was supposed to have my sister Shailene on last week, but it was that day that the wind was just like,
oh
shitty.
Man, the wind's been going crazy lately.
Dude, it was wildin'. So we bailed on it. And so I was just like, dang it, I got to come up with stuff to say. And I realized during that podcast, I was like, all right, I think I've said everything I have to say by myself. So I kind of just want to like focus on having guests. And you're one of the first homies that came to mind.
Dude, dope. I really appreciate it. You have such a great setup here, man.
Thanks. Yeah. Thank goodness for this third bedroom. So I've been working. Okay, first of all, how you doing, bro? What's up?
Doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Things have been very strange for me. I'd say the past like 6 months.
6 months?
Yeah. I don't know what it is, but just the past 6 months have just been strange. But I'm in good health.
Yeah.
Still doing basically freelance work. Working on a lot of cool projects, mostly under the radar. I just haven't had the desire to share or post anything really on social media.
Yeah. It's tough out there these days, man.
Like, it's just, I'm not really looking for validation from the work that I'm doing. But at the same time, I'm also kind of neglecting some of that momentum and that consistency of being proud of like what I'm working on.
Yeah.
And getting that feedback loop. So
do you feel like it's different now? Like posting and sharing all your stuff? Like I feel like back in the day, it was so easy for me. I didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
It was just like, it was so natural. And now it just feels like there's so much vulnerability and emphasis, and like you're putting yourself out there, and there's so many eyeballs, and maybe that's just like in my head, but posting these days like takes energy. Like it takes so much energy for me to post. Do you feel that way?
I mean, at the moment, yeah. But
yeah,
I know there's a point where I can like flip a switch and I can get over that. And like the vulnerabilities of, you know, just sharing something off the cuff and just not worrying about anything. I think like I've had that inclination in the past many, many times, and it was easy to get over just like the overthinking. But for some reason right now, like these past 6 months, it's been an absolute silent mode. You know?
Is that like a good silence, or is it kind of like, are you recalibrating? Like what's going on with that silence?
For sure.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what's next, really.
Dude. Yeah.
It's a very interesting time. But
well, thanks for coming on. I'd love to get into all of that. I've been like trying to like outline and structure these podcasts a little bit more. So I've got a handful of questions for you, if you would be so willing.
Bring it on.
So first of all, just like imagine you're listening to this podcast and you don't know who Riley is. Like, can you just give like a brief summary of who you are, what your story is, for all the curious listeners out there.
So, my name's Riley. I'm a native of New Mexico. Came from a really small town. I was born in Los Alamos.
Nice.
A lot of people are familiar with the capital, like Santa Fe and Espanola and all these places that are rich in history and like the Mexican culture, Native American culture. But Los Alamos has like this historical significance from like the atomic bomb being developed and the national laboratories. And so there's kind of some interesting things going on up there that are at first like it was a secretive town, you know, so it's kind of weird being somebody that was born from up there. But so yeah, that's where me and my twin brother Cam, shout out to Cam. Cam's the man. And we were born up there. So our childhood was pretty much like when we were 5, we moved to Albuquerque. My mom was going to school. She's a teacher. And so by the time we moved to Albuquerque, we were starting to like get into, I guess, sports and outdoor activities. Our mom kept us pretty busy and occupied with our time, and we were always at the library.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't know. Albuquerque was different, but I don't think we had really spent enough time in that small environment of Los Alamos where everybody knows each other, and like there's really only a couple streets, couple blocks.
Mm-hmm.
there's some mesas, you know, where like there's different neighborhoods, but you could pretty much drive from one end of the town to the next in like 10 minutes.
So Albuquerque's like the big city. Y'all are moving to the city.
Right, yeah. We moved to the big city. And, you know, like elementary school is dope because you're like going on field trips. We actually went to Explora a couple times. You know what I mean? That's a classic.
Emily and my kids are at Explora right now. Shout out to Emily and the kids.
Yeah. So Christian was telling me, I mean, it's a great place.
It's fun, dude. It's a lot of fun.
I think it's one of the most underrated activities for kids.
Yeah, we've been going the past couple weeks, and I'm like, dude, I'll push the kids out of the way. Like, I want to explore this stuff.
Yeah. Funny because I actually have a photo shoot coming up where I'm supposed to go to Explora and capture the environment and like the activities that kids do and like what makes it so special. You know what I mean?
Okay. Because they just like did like an expansion, right? I think.
I have no idea.
I think they did. Yeah.
Did they?
They're kind of decking it out right now.
Honestly, yeah, I haven't been in a while, so
yeah,
it'd be dope to see all the, you know, fancy schmancy new
upgrades,
revamp.
Yeah. Okay, so you moved to Albuquerque when you were young, and it's just your mom and your brother. It's just like the three of you here.
Yeah, initially. Okay. Yeah, my mom, we pretty much got raised as like a single mom, raised me and my brother. And then we were still visiting with our dad every now and then. He was in the movie industry. He was like a grip. So he worked on like these different movies with Arnold Schwarzenegger and these people.
Okay.
Like Terminator.
Was he here in town or did he live somewhere else?
He was like a journeyman, I would say, just kind of like moved from city to city. Floated around, yeah, based on like where the movie industry was, I guess, getting all these different productions. And
okay.
So like Ohio, Louisiana, Texas.
Yeah.
California. He's initially from Long Beach. And my mom is from Fort Sumner, I believe, which is like basically on the fringe border between like New Mexico and Colorado.
Okay.
So they met in Los Alamos. I think he was there for a movie at one point. They fell in love, had a good time.
Had a couple kids.
Had twins, and then...
Dang. Wait, so you're a twin?
Yeah, me and Cam were twins, which is interesting because if
I
you
guess I didn't know that. Interesting.
yeah, it's a trip, man, because like our whole childhood we kind of traded heights. It was like I was a little bit taller and then he was a little bit taller. I was a little bit taller, but eventually he overtook me and like he got the slight edge and it just kept going. Like I never recovered.
Okay. So he's taller than he's bigger.
He's
than
a
you.
giant, dude.
Really? Have I ever seen? I don't think I've met him.
Really?
Have I don't think so.
It's possible.
But like you couldn't tell just based off looking at you guys that you're twins.
Probably not likely
Okay.
at this point. When we were younger, for sure, because we were like attached at the hip. Like we did everything together. We played baseball, basketball. We were both, grinding with our homework. Like we pretty much did everything together. So
okay,
you would probably assume these guys are brothers,
Yeah.
And we looked pretty similar in I don't know, when we were younger, but
yeah.
now I think we're quite different, and especially appearance wise. Yeah, we're not identical either. We're also fraternal. So
Okay.
yeah. But,
Nice. Are you guys still close?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just don't do the same things anymore.
Yeah.
It's like
No, I get
how
that.
you drift apart from your siblings
Totally.
just circumstantially.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I got a
We still
little
have
brother.
a lot of things in common though, Yeah.
Yeah, but he lives up in Portland. He's 21, so we're like 6 years apart. And growing up, like I think that was like just like enough years apart to where we weren't like super tight. And like I feel bad because looking back, I was always kind of just like annoyed or agitated with him because he's just like, I'm trying to like whatever, play with my friends or hang out with my sisters. And it's like, he's the straggler. But now I'm just like, dude, I have so much love for you. I want to like connect as brothers, but it's just so hard when we're all so different, all 4 siblings. And being in different cities does not help. Luckily, my sister Shalene is, she's over here in Corrales. So just based off like proximity and relatively similar life, trajectory. I mean, like just because like she has a kid, she's pregnant with another one. We've got 2 boys right now. So it's like we can kind of like bond over just like where we're at. But Elle and Josh, I mean, Elle's like traveling all over the planet.
Right.
They're like in New Zealand right now. So, and then Josh is
just living that rock star life.
Yeah, just completely different lives. And it's like, I have so much love for my siblings, but yeah, we're so different. Just like, it's just kind of interesting navigating this sibling dynamic because it's like, we have so much in common. We have so much shared history.
Right.
We have so much shared genetics and biology, and there's like a deep connection, but we're so different. And so what do you do with that? I don't know. It's kind of interesting.
It's crazy. I think you just got to embrace it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and you have to also like, you don't have that connection with anybody else on this planet. You don't have that connection with your parents, with your friends, with strangers. It's like you only have a sibling relationship with your siblings. And it's like, that's a completely unique relationship. And I'm so glad that I have these 3 relationships with my siblings. And that's like, Emily and I have been talking about, do we want to have more kids? And it's like, I do, for their sake, to have these like built-in sibling relationships. Because right now I think in all honesty, we're probably done. I think we're going to stop at 2. And that's fine. But I think Emily and I both coming from 4-kid families, like we're just used to big family energy and like having a bunch of siblings around. And so it'll just kind of be interesting. I guess you only had 1 sibling, right? Or you had like,
I had a twin, and then within a few years of moving to Albuquerque, my mom met my now stepdad. They got married. And we had older half brother that we actually didn't really know too well. It was basically kind of like distant relatives through our biological father, through another one of his relationships. And it was like, there was that. And then our stepbrother, who is now transitioned, is now our younger stepsister. So, yeah, basically, I mean, I've had 3 siblings my whole life, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Cam definitely, I mean, we're twins, so like we shared, we had that blood
like
bond.
Tightest.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious about this 6-month hiatus you're on right now. What's going on, bro?
Man, it's hard to like wrap it up in a bow, and just deliver it on a silver platter.
Sure.
Exactly what I'm going through, which I think is part of life. You know, we don't really we have these different seasons, you know, where things feel good. You're kind of riding strong. You don't really know where or what happened, but you're just in a good rhythm. You know? And I think, at least for me, maybe I'm on the other side of that, where I'm kind of I'm just getting tossed around a little bit by the waves, you know?
Yeah.
Which can be unfortunate because as much as we want to have control, like, we never do. So
yeah,
I'm just kind of like, I've accepted it, and so I'm just kind of recalibrating as we talked about earlier, and yeah, just focusing more on like how can I build better routines for myself, and dude, trying new things. Like I went and did some Muay Thai.
Oh yeah,
the other day, which was cool.
Wait, what's the difference between Muay Thai and Tai Chi? Okay, so what is Muay Thai?
I'm super new at all of it, but Muay Thai is like an advanced. It's almost like kickboxing.
Okay,
you know what I mean. Like your fundamentals are focused on different types of striking and like your footwork and.
Dude, that sounds fun.
Yeah,
no, I'm sure it was like super invigorating.
Oh, it was so dope.
Where'd you go?
I just went to like a small gym, and one of my homies invited me. He competes, and sometimes I think he's had 1 or 2 fights against like different professionals, and he's kind of just like one of those dudes. He just brings a lot of people in, and tries to give them a good time. And yeah, it's cool because there's community. It reminded me a lot of like some of that competitiveness, and like inner desire to kind of just improve yourself from a physical standpoint, but like you have a support group around you. Everyone else is kind of like they have a common goal. Yeah. And I missed that just because playing in like a team sports environment, you're always just, you're challenging yourself, and you're also challenging others to kind of work towards these goals. And so that was really cool. And then
do you think you're like trying to focus on other aspects of life besides like just what you have done, which is a lot of like just like work and career focus, but maybe trying to explore like different avenues of
100%. Yeah.
Like, I don't know, adventure or fun or whatever it is, self-expression.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, man, if you knew me when I was in high school, I had like this itch to get out and do stuff and like experience life outside of my own kind of bubble that had been created through my routines and the monotony of going to school and things like that. And like during the summertime, I would take advantage of like going on road trips and traveling and pinching pennies together, to get basically from one side of the country to the next, and didn't really know what I was up to. I had a little bit of like aspirations as far as like I want to become a self-sustainable and like create a career through photography.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't really know how to accomplish it. So I was just kind of doing that out of mostly just out of passion. You know what I mean? It was like, this is really cool. I want to explore and, meet people throughout the different regions of different parts of the country, and it was just a blast exploring, meeting cool people.
Yeah.
Being at places I never thought I would ever be. It's like you grow up and you look at maps or you're in history class or something and you're kind of downloading all this information and you're trying to understand the context of it based on like where you live and what you're doing. But once you actually get to those places, you can kind of, at least for me, I connect the dots a little bit easier. And it's like, okay,
yeah,
I understand this kind of, like I understand the reasoning and the tonality of like some of the way these people, approach you on the street, or just like, you know what I mean? You kind of just, you can feel the vibe of each place you go. And it's just cool to connect that with like photos or like, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, for me, I just love social studies and history. I think those were my favorite subjects. So I just more obsessed with those things. And so traveling was perfect. It was just like kind of like set off my antennas all the time.
Yeah.
And I like to observe. I'm very like, I would define myself more as like an extroverted introvert.
Extroverted introvert.
Especially when it's necessary.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, like, I pretty much keep to myself.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, I gotta like, it's almost like I gotta like recover from different social outings, but
totally, yeah,
because I'm just like, I'm super empathetic, so I'm always kind of just like reading the room, trying to figure out, especially in an unfamiliar situation, just like what's good and what's not.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Maybe that's why we like connect, because like I feel like I'm the same way. Like I'm just like an analyzer and an observer, and like if I'm in like a new setting, or if I don't know, if I'm feeling a little bit like stressed out or overwhelmed, I'll just kind of like take a step back. Kind of like I never need to be the center of attention. Like that is like that kind of stresses me out, unless it's like on the internet like this. Not that this is the center of attention by any means, but like I'm whatever. I don't know what I'm trying to say there, but I'm definitely more on the reserved, introverted kind of like observer type. And so I feel like, I bet traveling and just kind of like exploring these like new places, like that's, I mean, like how old were you when you started doing all that?
Like 16, 17.
Dang.
Yeah.
Was your mom cool with that? I'm sure that'd be stressful.
It's
for
tough.
her.
I think there was like mixed reactions.
Were you just like,
I was pretty stubborn. Yeah, I was pretty stubborn about it.
Okay.
I was just kind of, I mean, it got to a point where I think my family kind of realized like, oh, like he really wants to do these things. And like my mom even gifted me a camera. So I think she kind of helped. I credit her with like helping me kind of actualize some of these things.
Yeah.
At least from the beginning. And then, but yeah, there's times where I'm like, hey, what's up? Like I'm in California. I just spent $400 on a plane ticket. I only budgeted like $500 for 2 weeks, and I'm just kind of living here in Yosemite. I got a dirt bagging it.
Yeah.
I live in this campground, and I'm just kind of, you know what I mean, hiking around every morning and bootlegging Wi-Fi off people at the cafe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just in my own world, basically. And it was exhilarating. I loved it so much. It was a lot of fun. So,
do you still desire to do that, or is that kind of just like maybe you're getting a little older and you're wanting a little bit more stability?
I think it's a little bit of just like, at the time I didn't have any like a whole lot of responsibilities.
Yeah.
So like now that there's more burdens on me, you just have to be realistic about like the way you balance out your life. And like,
Yeah.
I think I was very ambitious and kind of reckless at the same time. And I'm trying to figure out how to like stabilize that. So that's part of where like that calibration comes in, where my instinct is like to be super spontaneous and just go for it and like wing it. You know what I mean? Which has helped me in a lot of ways. But
Yeah, I'm sure.
you know, then there's also the downsides of that, which I think it takes longer for you to recover after a couple missteps rather than just like course correcting quickly. Like, okay,
Yeah.
messed up here. Let's recalibrate. Boom. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that compound effect can be detrimental.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing that having a couple kids has done in my life is it's totally tanked my spontaneity. Like that's out the window. There's no such thing as like being spontaneous, at least like in this season. Like it'll come back, I'm sure. But it's like anything that we want to do. All right, I've got to write it down on the calendar. I've got to make sure that Emily's available that day. Like even just this podcast right now, like everything that had to line up in order for me to just like get this window where it's just like, I don't know, like even if we want to like go somewhere quick, it's like, okay, we got to get the kids dressed. We got to get them buckled into the car seat. Aesop's going to be throwing a fit. The other one's going to like, there's just like, oh my God, like even just a simple trip to the store or to Target or whatever, to the park, it's like, this shit takes forever now. And so there is part of me that's longing for that spontaneity again. And again, like it'll come back. But right now, just this season I'm in is just like friggin' like
Tough.
keep my head down. Just like,
Yeah.
I just got to be like super regimented and like routine and structured. And it's good.
Are there like things that you've intentionally worked on that you know have helped you get through, you know, these different chapters, especially this season right now? Like,
yeah, definitely. I mean, one thing right off the bat is like routine is good for me. Routine is good for the kids. Routine is good for mom. Like if we can relatively establish a consistent and like predictable routine and schedule, then everybody's just a little bit happier. Like if I throw off Aesop's schedule, like if we do one thing every single day and then all of a sudden like, hey, we're not doing that, we're going to go do something, like he doesn't like that. I mean, I wouldn't like that either if I was expecting something and then that's just like totally different. So that comes down to like going to bed on time, right? I mean, Aesop goes to bed at 7 p.m. and then dad goes to bed around whatever, 8 or 9 p.m. I got to get solid sleep. Like that's fundamental. And then, I mean, within reason, because the other baby's crying a lot at night. And shout out to Emily for taking night shift on the newborn. But then besides that, just like making sure we're eating good, making sure we're drinking good water, making sure we're being active. Like if Aesop doesn't run around or if he doesn't get out the house, he's wilding, man. He has so much energy and he needs to expend it. And if we're just, I mean, that's a whole other thing is that, so I'm on a 6-week parental leave right now. And so I haven't been working since like beginning of February or end of January. So I go back to work March 5th.
Gotcha.
So it's been this like crazy, I mean, talk about what you were saying, just like feeling like it's been like a crazy season. Dude, I have not had this much time off since I started working like at the age of 18. And I think just like this major life transition of adding another kid into the mix and then being thrown out of my rhythm, like my work rhythm, has been fascinating and interesting, but also very challenging. It's been a very tough season for me, just like adjusting. Like I feel like, again, kind of what you were saying earlier about being like tossed by the waves. I literally said that same analogy like a few days ago. Like I just feel like I'm trying not to drown at the moment. Like I'm so many like changes and stressors have been added on to my plate and Emily's plate. And we're kind of just like in it so deep right now. And it's like, it's tough. It's been kind of very depressing, honestly. Like this has been, it's obviously been like one of the best times in my life. Like, you know, like getting 6 weeks paid off from work and spending time with my boys, like my new boys, and like time with Emily. But I think just the combination of it being like peak winter, like I
think that's been hitting me too.
Dude, yeah. I definitely get seasonally depressed, like without a doubt. But that, and then me not being as active as I used to be, because I'm very physically active at work. But just like this whole like kind of combination of multiple things, I can see that a lot of it is situational, but I'm having to really be diligent about not spiraling into like a worse like headspace.
Yeah.
Maybe you've been feeling something similar, just like seasonally.
For sure. Yeah, I don't know what it is, man, but like maybe since we live in a state where there's so much sunshine and like warm days, and the climate just, once it takes a turn and it's frigid and it's cold and the snow's coming out, where it's windy. I mean, like yesterday was like 70-mile-per-hour winds just howling. You know what I mean?
That was the ugliest day I've.
You know what I mean?
Miserable.
And like
yesterday.
those are the days where you're like, I don't even want to walk outside. But I don't know. For some reason, like we have such great outdoor activities here in our state, and so you know, they're on one side of the glass. It's like, oh man, we have like such great weather most of the time throughout the year. Then during the winter, it kind of takes a turn. But you can spin it, you know, to a positive if you're into like snowboarding or skiing.
Right.
Or, you know,
I just don't have like
being out.
Good winter. Like I was telling Emily yesterday, I was just like, I can't be going through this every year. Like I can't be dipping down this low every single winter. Like that's not sustainable. And I was like, I just need activities to do during the winter. I need to come up with things to keep me occupied and like take my focus. Cause I'm the same way. Like I have to be outside. I have to be getting sunlight. I have to be doing stuff during spring, summer, fall.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, I haven't really been getting into snowboarding or skiing or anything like that. I've just kind of been like hunkering down on like my computer and stuff and like smoking weed and stuff. Like it's like
maybe you need to like take a week to like a couple day trip to like Phoenix or
that's just so hard with kids, man. It's so
take a
hard.
road trip. Yeah, I don't know.
ASAP doesn't want to be in the car for 12 hours. I think right now,
I guess it's complicated.
Yeah. Like that time will come. Like I know it will, but right now it's just challenging, dude. Kids are tough, man. They're so tough. But they're rewarding.
I can relate. Yeah. I mean, I can't relate about having kids, but I can relate to the fact of like just winters sometimes just hit me really hard. And like I've actually seriously considered like moving just for that reason. Like,
dude, California,
to have a less brutal winter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, honestly, we've been not having serious talks, but having conversations of just like, all right, Emily and I are both New Mexico natives. You know, we've been here our whole lives. We've never moved out of the state. We've traveled a lot. Like I've spent a lot of time in different cities, but for the first time, we've been like, okay, are we going to be in New Mexico for the rest of our lives? Probably not, you know. It'll always be home base is what we've kind of been saying. But we've just been like brainstorming, okay, like if we did move at some point, theoretically, when would that be? You know, what would that look like? How would we do it? And I think weather is a big factor in like where we decide to move. Cause dude, living in California with just like, I don't know, like it sounds so appealing.
Yeah.
To not have brutal winters. We've been like throwing out, you know, would we move to Nashville? Would we move to, you know, somewhere in Texas like Austin? We've been throwing out like Asheville, North Carolina, even parts in California like Fresno or somewhere. Yeah. I don't know. It's like regardless, it's probably 3 to 5 years off anyway. Like we want, to the best of our ability, we want to keep this house. Like we don't want to sell this house. And so we've been talking about, okay, it would probably, like if we could just like fast track, just like hunker down and pay this house off, that would give us so much flexibility to go try other places. If it doesn't work out, just come back here, have this place as a rental, and just like always have this as like a hub. Because I mean, there's obviously like so many good aspects of New Mexico, like we were saying.
Yeah.
Affordability, lots of good sunshine. But yeah, dude, these winters. It sounds brutal, so like surface, or like, you know, like people talk about the weather as like small talk, and like, but it's like, dude, this shit impacts me. Like I'm serious. Like it just reminds me of like how connected we are to like this planet, and to like even stuff like weather patterns like really affect me, man. Like if it was windy today, like it was yesterday, dude, I wouldn't be doing this podcast, because it like my mood is just like, it's not inspiring, bro. It just like bums me out. I'm know.
So glad we're doing this today, not yesterday.
Seriously, dude. Like it was, this fucking wind,
just
man.
like seeing no clouds in the sky and it's just blue. Oh man,
I went for a walk.
Makes me happy.
Like at 6 a.m. this morning, just because I knew, I was like, all right, I got a podcast. I gotta just like get the blood moving. Mm-hmm. So I woke up super early, just got out there. I mean, it was cold, but the sun was out, dude, and it was just like,
yep.
that'll. So like, where are you at? Like, how are you feeling on New Mexico these days? Like, what are your thoughts on sticking around, or like what? I don't know. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a weird time, because I think I can't like assess just like the overall appeal maybe of like what it's like to live here. From other people's point of view, it's really just my own life experience, and that I can gauge that from, you know. And there's something just within myself that is just constantly kind of pulling me in other places. But I think the cost of living here and the affordability is kind of like that. It's like that sweet, you know, snack or that candy that just kind of hits you, and you're like, man, I need that. You know what I mean? It's like, and it, you know, there's all these cliches about like, oh, the land of entrapment, you know?
Right. Yeah.
It's most likely just kind of like, I think, at least for me, it's family ties, familiarity. Yeah, just you're comfortable with the places that you frequent, the things you do, like the people you know.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I could see way down the road, like I'd love to have a situation kind of maybe similar to what you were talking about with having a property or house here, and I've wrote like I've like brainstormed these things in the past. I can see myself having a house here and a house somewhere else.
Dude, that sounds
Especially
great.
like Colorado or California or something like that. But
someplace to
I don't
go
know.
during the winter.
Exactly. Like I need a winter like vacation home. You know what I mean?
Dude, that's the dream right there.
Yeah.
It's like somewhere in California or Florida or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot of work to get there, though.
Yeah.
Like, it's so easy to be like, yeah, that sounds great. But then you think about the practicality of like, okay, what do I actually have to do in order to make that happen? Damn, I gotta start making money. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
So I gotta just like focus on what's in front of me, where I'm at right now. And you're just like, okay, honestly, it's probably a 5 to 10 year or more. Like I just casually say, yeah, Emily and I want to pay off this house. But it's like,
Yeah.
dude, we're in a 30-year fucking mortgage right now. Like if we were super diligent, we could pay it off early and maybe in like 10, 15 years. But that's hard to do, man. And then like getting another place, like you got to qualify for 2 separate mortgages. It's like, dude, okay, I got to be bringing in consistent money in order to like qualify for that kind of stuff. Or I just got to like bust my ass and, pay it all in cash. But that's like kind of a pipe dream.
I mean, I'm in the same boat. Yeah. Like all these things where I'm like, yo, I wish I would have had two cribs, but it's I mean, I don't even own one crib.
Yeah.
I'm just renting right now. So it's like,
Yeah.
but maybe I'm just stubborn, or I'm just kind of like, I have this extreme confidence of I'll be all right,
Yeah.
and that just keeps me going. But yeah, New Mexico, there's some new life coming here. You know what I mean? I feel like there's an increased spike of just interest in general. Like we're getting more national attention, especially like from the film industry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's these interesting kind of like infrastructure projects happening where like Meta has like this data facility down in Los Lunas, right? Like there's these big Fortune 500 companies that are moving in. It seems like they're attracting a lot of jobs. There's like an influx in like the technology space.
Yeah.
People are like coding, and actually our tourism industry here is starting to boom as well. And I'm thankful to kind of be a part of that.
Yeah.
Be a part of that machine. Be a contributor in that space where I'm like, I'm helping the city, I'm helping the county, I'm helping the state.
Yeah. You've been doing some stuff with like the New Mexico True.
Yeah, like the New Mexico Tourism Department has so many different spokes in the wheel, and they all kind of run together. And basically, like, I've just kind of been helping in various campaigns, and like sometimes my photos will get licensed. And in the case of the state tourism department, that at one point they bought out an image from me that I took with my buddy Chris Lang. We went out to Shiprock during like a new moon. It was like sometime in February. Actually, it was pretty cold out.
Mm-hmm.
It was like 3 a.m. and we were taking photos of the stars of like the Milky Way above Shiprock, and it was a great little adventure side quest, And
yeah, dude. That's
at the time, I like really early on, man. I was just kind of, like I said, I was just winging it, doing a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah,
and trying to increase my skills, learning more about like the functionalities of like my camera, but also like testing the limits in post production.
Yeah,
all the fun stuff that it takes to kind of develop your workflow. But yeah, I was just kind of surprised at one point that image that I took like the state wanted to buy it out, and
That's awesome.
They used it a lot for like some of their recent branding where they redesigned their logo. So it's been in like all these articles. It's just kind of chilling on their like state website.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I see it all over the
feeling.
place. Like people will tell me like, "Hey man, I just saw this photo in like the Denver airport."
Oh, really?
Or, dude, I just saw this on a billboard somewhere. I'm like, "Yo, that's crazy."
Yeah, that's awesome.
So that stuff is pretty dope. And
yeah, I think I forget pretty regularly. All right, it's good to be reminded that there is good stuff happening in New Mexico. Like, I think sometimes I get down, or I'm just like, it just feels like New Mexico's on the bottom of like all these lists, and you know, there's a lot of poverty here, and there's not much to do, and it's like, do I want to raise kids here? But I think a lot of that is just like in my head and like telling of where my current headspace is, because it's like, obviously there's millions of people living in New Mexico. I mean, like 2 million or something, but like there's like 1 million people in the ABQ metro, and everybody seems to be doing fine. Or not everybody, but people are fine, right? I mean, like, yeah, like you were saying, like there's Intel here, there's the labs, there's Facebook, there's I mean, Netflix just moved in, NBC, Amazon, I mean, like there's a lot of, like, the economy is not down by any means. It's so easy to get down on the place that you grew up, but I know people that moved to Albuquerque that are like, this place is awesome. Yeah, so many people I know that have moved here, you know, whether it's from a smaller city or even a bigger city. Like there's appeals that I just need to be reminded of. And I think, I don't know, that I think that does take, you know, getting out there and not like hunkering down like I have been in this season.
Yeah.
But like talking to different people, getting different perspectives on New Mexico. Yeah. That's probably essential for like keeping a good headspace about the state or city that you're living in.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like there's so many different things that appeal about New Mexico from people that are visiting and traveling. Like the tourists here, they love it. You know what I mean? People that transplant here, you get an opportunity to like speak with those people a lot as well. And it's always very interesting. Like, oh, so you like, what brought you here? You know,
I know. I'm always
I
so
work at the
curious.
labs. You know, it's like, you know, I'm a research scientist. You know, and it's like it's crazy what brings people to move here, but
it's so bizarre. Like even just like artists, like random artists.
Exactly.
Like I'm just like, why are you
especially
here?
like up in Taos and Santa Fe?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like some crazy, like there's like world-renowned painters and like the, you know, this not stigma, or like more so just kind of like the allure of like Georgia O'Keeffe, you know, like our landscapes here really are captivating. Like they kind of present something unique where like you can road trip from one corner of our state down south to the Four Corner region up north, and like you're seeing such a variety of landscapes. You know what I mean? Like we've got these you know, super barren kind of dry grasslands towards Texas, and then like up north we have like, you know, these nice mountains, and in between, you know, there's like a little bit of like the river, like the Rio Grande is what it is.
Yeah. I do wish it was a little bit more abundant, but whatever.
It's not a thoroughfare. It's not like, you know, like goods are being transported.
Right,
you know?
It's not used for transportation of any kind.
Right. But yeah, it's just, there's these interesting, like we have a little hot springs kind of collection of places in the Jemez, and there's just such different things about our state where like people just, they feel like they're in like an alien landscape, you know, like Bisti.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? White Sands is
right.
insane. So yeah, I guess for me, like that's kind of what keeps me ingrained and like willing to hunker down, so to speak, here. It's just like there's a lot to offer. There's a lot to do. If I can just find a way to like bridge the gap between like people that are also interested in going on these adventures with me, or like, you know, finding that I don't know, finding that curiosity of just like being motivated to continue learning and keeping myself active, you know, in the state. That's gonna be able to keep my interest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm just gonna be like, oh man, I want to go to New York City. You know, I want to like check out all these other parts of the United States. And for the most part of my my life, I've pretty much traveled everywhere besides like a couple pockets on the East Coast and like a little bit down south. You know what I mean? So those are the areas where I'm kind of like, I want to get there.
As far as like just in the United States?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I've never been to New York City. Never been anywhere north of DC.
Okay. You know what's interesting that I forget all the time is that, you know, like when I was younger, I traveled so much and I didn't kind of realize how kind of unique that was. But like I've been to every single state except Alaska. And okay. Cause like my sisters and I, like we would play music and like we toured a bunch. And hopped on all these different tours for like a good like 3 to 5 year period. Like there was just a lot of touring going on.
No kidding.
So it's like, yeah, we were on like the 2010 Warped Tour.
For what? Blink 182?
Wait, what?
Wait, never mind.
No. Warp. You know what Warped Tour is?
No.
Warped Tour is like it was at the time. I think it honestly disbanded. I don't even think it exists anymore. It might. I don't know. But back in the day, like in the early 2000s, early 2010s, it was like the pinnacle, like punk rock, metal, national tour where like Blink 182 was on it. Right. And they were like headlining it. But also there was 50 to 100 other bands.
Right.
And there's like multiple stages. It's basically just like a Coachella that like travels from city to city to city for like 2 months.
Okay. Yeah, I'm familiar with it. Like, I guess I didn't understand that structure behind it.
Yeah.
And I never really got like super engaged in like the punk rock scene. So.
Yeah. And so, the lineup every single year was totally different. Like the headliners when we were on it were, was like 303 and like Bring Me the Horizon and like Andrew WK and just like crazy artists, right? Okay. And so like, we were a part of that. And like, we would, we had a bus and we would like hit all these different cities. And then after that we went on, we probably went on like, maybe like 10 tours altogether, but like that's
like 10 nationwide tours.
Yeah.
At what age, bro?
I was like between the ages of like 15, probably like 14 to 17 or 18, like around there.
Bro, that's insane.
And so I got introduced to this like whole world of like, it was like kind of a specific kind of niche. Like a lot of it was like kind of like Christian heavy rock or like that kind of like this like specific scene. But like it introduced me to traveling, which like is so not where I'm at right now. And so it's just funny that I did have all these experiences when I was super young.
Yeah.
And now I'm just like dying to get back to that. And so like I'm really like we're talking about doing a trip this summer out to like Nashville and stuff like that. And we went up to Denver it's just like traveling now is just so few and far between, but I think we want to get to a point once the kids are a little bit older where like we can do that for them as well. And then also internationally, like I've never traveled internationally.
Yeah.
I've only been to Puerto Rico, which is technically still US owned, but like I don't even have a passport.
Mm.
And it's like I know that New Mexico is, I mean, yes, there's a lot of good stuff here, but it's just like so small compared to how massive this planet is and how many places there are. And I'm like longing to experience different cultures and like see how other people are living their lives, in like Thailand or Singapore, wherever it is. Like
right.
I would love to go to some just like random country and just like live there for a small period of time. I don't know.
I mean, it's probably doable.
Yeah. It will be at some point.
Yeah. I don't know. That sounds exciting to me. I mean, I agree. I've only been like to Mexico and Canada. So for the most part, I've just been confined to like North America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how old are you?
I'm 24.
24. Okay. So you're a Zoomer. You're Gen Z.
Yeah.
Okay.
A Zoomer. Interesting term.
I think that's what.
Is that what they call it?
I think so.
Huh.
Yeah. Gen Z.
It made me think of like Zoom, like the actual like
video
like, meetings. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, there's probably something to that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of our world right now. Okay. So we have this like unique perspective on life where we kind of grew up on the internet for the most part. Phones are just like such a normal part of our lives, technology, computers, cameras, all this stuff.
Right.
I'm finding myself right now feeling very overwhelmed by just the sheer amount of like content and technology being like funneled into my face on any given day. Like I'm just being sold to, I'm being advertised to, and I'm like, I feel sometimes as if I'm being like manipulated by like these screens. And I'm just curious what your perspective is, because you're also probably on the internet just as much as I am. How do you deal with like content overload? Like, do you feel like it's breaking your brain the way I do? Or like, do you have, like, what's your relationship with that?
If I'm being honest, like right now, it's kind of not that great. Like I'm getting kind of overwhelmed in the same capacities that you're talking about. Like,
yeah,
it's brutal, man. I mean, it just makes me think about like what it was like when I had an iPod, and like the most interaction I had with the internet, aside from like being able to go to the library and like jump on the internet for like 20, 30 minutes, was like just being able to listen to the radio and like some top 40 hits on my iPod. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
there was no scrolling. There was no Instagram. There was no TikTok. None of that. You know what I mean? And, or at least that I didn't have it yet. You know, I hadn't really discovered those things yet because I didn't have a smartphone. It was just like a little iPod. You know what I mean? And
yeah, same here.
flip phone, you know, so you got the classic old school flip phone, the Motorola.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dude, life was bliss. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. There's something different about the way the anxieties and the stresses of the human condition were so few and far between in my bubble. You know what I mean? Because I wasn't being overloaded with this information. And I think that in turn, like, that helped me. So, you know what I mean? Like, it helped me pose these questions in my mind, be even more curious about like what's going on. So I was like engaged, you know, what's like my, what are my friends doing? What am I up?
Yeah, like there was more space for creative freedom and like
Yeah.
boredom, which I'm realizing now
Boredom,
is
which was
like
nice.
very important for
crucial,
humans to experience is boredom. And now it's like, dude, I'm never bored. Like I've always got headphones in. I've always got something on in the background. Like it's so easy to just fill that space with something.
Yeah.
And I feel like to really get pure like stillness or quiet or mindfulness just takes so much more effort, and you have to be extremely intentional about declaring that I need 30 minutes, I need 1 hour of like setting aside everything else and just like being in stillness. It's so hard to come by these days without like realizing that you need it and then like making it happen, which is another like hurdle to overcome. Cause like it sounds nice, but it's like, I don't really want to do that. I'd rather just like get on YouTube for 30 minutes or whatever. Like, but it's like, I feel like my brain is just like
overloaded.
It's on overdrive all the time. And like, whenever I do for like a second or like for like 5 seconds experience stillness, it's like, whoa, that's weird. Or like even doing these podcasts, it's just like an hour.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, like you've got
it's surrounding me, bro.
It's everywhere. Like, you know what I mean?
Like
we're in the studio.
We've got the headphones on. We've got the mics. We've got cables everywhere. 2 cameras. I got my laptop. It's like, so we're still in it, bro. But it's like, but we're
There's
like,
no way we can get out of like the matrix,
right?
Honestly, like,
yeah,
I think it's very difficult. I mean, like, you ever hear about and like think about like these like survivalistic, like off the grid towns?
Oh,
and, like, you know what I mean? Like, Taos is notorious for like earthships and sustainable living. I think there's different places that encourage it and almost kind of like cultivate, like pushing the envelope in the opposite direction of like the way our society is moving. But like,
well, because we've just thrown it all out.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean but it's crazy how fast it took. You know what I mean? Like,
oh my god.
Just within the past 5 to 10 years, our society has changed.
Dude, I feel like it was like 2007 when the iPhone came out. Like, I'm sure there was other kind of blips and stuff, but for me, that's when I kind of feel like that's when everything changed. Like when the smartphone like emerged from the underground and into mass like consumer. Like everybody's got one now. And yeah, like what you were talking about earlier. Yeah, dude, remember getting an iPod Touch? Or like that's for me was like, I had like an iPod Shuffle. I had an iPod Nano.
Dude, jumping from the Shuffle to the Nano to the Touch, you were just like,
dude, the iPod Touch was like, oh my God, like this is the future. But I actually have one in this drawer right here from like whatever, and it's like I pull it out and it looks like ancient freaking technology. Like it's so tiny.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, I like I'm like asking people now. Like I asked my little brother because I had him on the podcast. I was like, do you actually think you could ditch it all at this point in your life? Like with where you're at, with how you make money, with your connections, like if you wanted to, like everybody says like, oh yeah, it'd be so nice to ditch it all. But like, do you actually think if you wanted to, you could ditch it all?
I'll be honest with you. Like deep down, I have a desire to pretty much challenge myself for like to at least be able to withstand my reliance on technology.
Yeah.
And I read Matthew McConaughey's book Green Lights a while back, and he emphasized like in like certain parts of his young acting career where he was able to go on like an excursion, like a hiatus, like a self-discovery journey, and he unplugged basically, like, from the
Mhm.
world's constant nagging at him and like the tension, you know what I mean? And he
Yeah.
talked about how much that helped him just find his inner voice again, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, calm the seas in his head, and just, and like, those are the types of things that I found I've been able to do for myself when I'm traveling or when I'm out. Like, if you go on like a backpacking trip and like you're off the grid, you don't have service, you know what I mean? Like, you're just kind of, you're out there.
But there's like part of me that like
You know what I
gets
mean?
stressed out
Yeah.
because it's like, I guess in my head,
I
it's
crave that though, because it's like, I know how detrimental it is to get
right.
sucked into like this time warp of just like scrolling and being entertained. And I know how bad that is for me. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't like it. Unfortunately, it's like,
Yeah.
there's times where I'll wake up, you know, you wake up and like you check your notifications on your phone, you know, like,
Right.
but dude, there's all these different methods that people will try to use, you know, to like get yourself in rhythm. And I've tried to apply those things in my own life where like my phone's in the other room, wake up, I gotta go get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Creating some separation.
Yeah.
Trying to leave your phone on the charger, walk
Right.
away from it.
Yeah. And like
Yeah, I
all
get
the, you
that.
know, like 30, 60, 90-minute focus sprints. Like if you got work you're trying to do or whatever, like keep the distractions away from you. And it's so much more difficult than it is, than you realize, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm trying, man. I'm trying. It's tough.
It's tough, man.
It really is. I'd like to believe deep down, like to answer your question, that,
Right,
that I
yeah.
could do it, because I've had points in my life, especially when I was younger, where I was unconcerned, didn't even care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I know it's in me. But now that I'm an adult, and it's like part of the way I even get work is like people reaching out
Yeah.
via technology.
Dude, I don't think I
It's
can
like, how do you legitimately say I can survive without this, when it's almost like the main driving force? So it's the heartbeat behind what you're up to.
I know, and it's just like the
So-
way of the world right now. Like I fantasize about just dropping everything and like going and living in the mountains off the grid, you know, becoming a monk or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like, dude, even just like to participate, like it seems like there's like a barrier to living in today's society, and that is like you have to be online. Like you kind of like, even with my work, like if I wanted, like how would I do simple stuff like get my schedule, and how would I like request time off? Like everything is done online. Like I have this whole like online portal to do my taxes. You know, I have to like have Wi-Fi to like, there's just like so many things where it's like, how would I get to places without my phone? How would I like communicate with people? How would we set up this podcast if I wasn't able to like connect with you? Like everything we do is through our phones, and it's like attached to my hip 99% of the time. It's within arm's reach. If it's not within arm's reach, what's wrong? Like, like something's up. Like for me personally, like
crazy.
Does
that annoy you? Is that like,
it bugs me?
make you upset?
I don't know, dude. There's good. I mean, there's so much good that comes out of it, but it at times I wonder if it is stealing from like my sanity, like my mental. Like if I was living off grid in the mountains of China and like being a monk or something, like would that be a more purposeful and meaningful existence for me? Like I just don't know, because this is all I have and this is all I have experienced. But I'm just like curious, if I didn't have it, what would my life look like? What would my serotonin levels look like? Would I like, cause I also feel like I'm like broken in some areas. Like my dopamine receptors, dude, are just in constant, just like full capacity overflowing.
Yeah.
And it's like, if I ever want to just like let off the gas a little bit, it almost seems like my baseline, like my happiness like tanks lower than baseline because I'm just like used to this like threshold of constant dopamine hits.
Yeah, I think that's the most difficult part. Like, there's a certain level of conditioning that we're kind of up against where we don't have control necessarily of that. You know what I mean? That we're reliant upon it to such a degree that, yeah, we're all messed up, man. And it sucks to say, but yeah. I mean, I'm trying to see like what it is that people that are very successful at maintaining healthy boundaries for themselves, but yet still utilize like these tools, you know, like what kind of practices they do and learn from them, and also just like trial and error for myself, you know, and it's like,
because you can,
when you wake up early, you know, like you leave the phone in the other room and you just focus on yourself, like get a workout in, you hydrate, you know what I mean? Like maybe you read or do a little, just entertain yourself, but from an educational level, like listen to a podcast or get some sun, you know what I mean? Like once you take care of all the basics, and then maybe you journal or you write something down about like what you're grateful for, and then you kind of like plug into the matrix, I think you already have like this edge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in an ideal world, like you're able to do everything that you need to before you plug in, basically.
Yeah.
And then when you do plug in, like it's very calculated. It's like, I want to connect with these people. Like they're on my mind, and I want to support with like what they're doing. I want to show up, be a good friend, or be a whoever for these people that I am connected with. But really, you know, my goal here is to be productive. You know, it's like, I got to check my schedule for work, right? Or, all right, who's been hitting me up lately? You know, let me answer some emails. Let me do some logistical things. Boom, boom, boom. Here's some stuff I just finished. Here's a couple projects I worked on, you know, that I'm proud of. Check it out. You know what I mean? It's like, and then disengage.
Right. And then
you know what I mean?
Drop out again.
Yeah. And I think
until next time.
That's tough. But in an ideal world,
like there is balance.
There's such a great opportunity, you know, to maximize those tools in front of us, and then focus more on like the humanity of our life, you know? And it's like, I think really what helps is just being around other people that are interested in doing the same thing, that can keep you accountable, or that, they're not, I guess, in your face all the time, like with these notions that you have to rely upon it, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting. Like there's so many like things that we have to fight against, and most of it is internal. You know, it's like, we can create the boundaries and we can create the self-control for ourselves, but we're being influenced by all these people around us that are like, you know, doing some of the same things, and like it just,
and we're like incentivized to spend as much time as possible on our phones and on our screens. But it's like, I think at the end of the day, kind of what you were saying is like, it is kind of up to the individual, and it's up to us to be the ones that decide for ourselves. I have to have discipline in this area. I have to have the self-control to know when to use it. There is balance to be achieved when using technology and phones and computers and stuff. But it's like, it's going to differ from person to person, but it's just like, it takes intentionality on each of our parts to decide what's enough, what's too much, when is it becoming unhealthy, when can you actually, you know, have a little bit of wiggle room and utilize it a little bit more. I think all that to say, I do think I'm in a much healthier relationship with technology right now. And I think just because of my life situation, I'm forced to focus on so many different aspects of life to where when I do find the time to indulge and when to like utilize technology, like there's purpose behind it. Like I actually do get a little bit of satisfaction and enjoyment out of playing an hour or two of video games a day, or like, because I'm not just like splurging and just like binging TV all day, every day. It's like, yeah, Emily and I can watch like an episode of something, you know, at the end of the night. And that's like, it's actually like pleasant.
Yeah.
And like, even with this podcast, like I've gotten to the point where I'm, for the most part, pretty much able to just post and ghost. And I really like that. Cool. Like, of course, like I'll still read comments and stuff because like like they're so few and far between, and I'm such a noob at this point still, that it's like I do care about the feedback of people. But like my happiness doesn't like depend on how many views I'm getting, or it's like, oh, I'm posting these shorts and one of them got, you know, a couple thousand views and then the next one got 30 views. And it's like, I don't care. I know that so much goes into like the algorithm, and it's like so much of it is just like luck of the draw and randomized, that it's like, I'm not putting any sort of emphasis or value on that because I have value in other aspects of life. Like this is me just like stretching my creative gene and trying to produce something on a consistent basis. And I just enjoy the process of it. And if I can get to a point where I can just enjoy the process, it's like, dude, this is fun. Like I could do this all day, right? Yeah. Like I'm not like banking on this podcast. Like I need to get like X amount of views or whatever.
I think that's important.
Like, this
man.
is fun, bro.
It's more of a creative outlet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And yeah, I feel like you're doing a good job, man. I mean, it's cool to see.
Thanks,
like,
bro.
Yeah, I kind of flirt with the idea of like, what would my life be like if I shared and I was more vulnerable and I shared more things, which, you know, since I was pretty young, I've actually documented a lot of interesting life experiences, but I've just never really shared them on like an intimate level outside of, I think what I was really good at was like sharing a captivating story through like visuals, you know what I mean? Just like photos, but I never turned the camera. I mean, I turned the camera on myself, but like I never really shared any of it, you know? So I'm kind of like holding on to these like archives, and they're almost like journal entries basically.
Are they actual journal entries, or are they like?
They're like vlogs, you know what I mean?
So like, you actually did record some stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
And like, I want to post them. Like, it's weird because I'm like, these are important moments in my life. You know, it'd be cool. Maybe someone can take something from it, you know, and it'd be useful. And I can kind of track like some of these different milestones in my life. But then I get like self-conscious. I'm like, man, am I like too
100%.
Trying to appeal to other people, and like, you know, it was like, is this going to feed my ego, or is this actually just, you know what I mean? And like, I get all those things kind of like confuse myself, and then I overthink it, and I'm like, oh, forget it. You know what I mean? But I'll come up with like a really cool like idea, like, let me film myself for 30 days straight and just like, see what that social experiment looks like. But
well, let me just say this. Like, I think I'm realizing that our current generation, us Zoomers, us Gen Z, we can sniff out being sold to. We can sniff out like production. We can sniff out like corpo talk and like marketing and all that. And so I think our generation craves vulnerability and honesty and like being humble. We can like, that's like real human engagement and connection, is like like being able to like decipher what's true and what's like being manipulated.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm looking for when I want to be entertained or when I want to learn something. It's like, you know, even on like TikTok, I don't really like TikTok per se, but there's a few things, or there'll be a few occasions where when I am trying to pass some time, I'm just kind of, you know, flipping through. Like I'll find something that's interesting and it's more so educational than anything else. And I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool. Like the fact that people are able to now kind of like create a niche for themselves based on their own vulnerabilities and their life experience, where it's like, you know, this person has some great tips, you know, about like fitness, you know, and this person great tips on cooking, you know, this person does some really wacky things for their work, you know, and it's like cool to learn about or whatever. And like I find myself, I gravitate towards the more authentic, you know, side of like,
I think we want that.
There's just like, this is my life, you know what I mean? And like, but it's really weird because like I crave the same thing for myself. I'm like, I'd like to do the same thing, but I trip myself up, and like, I have never launched, I've never launched like my YouTube channel for real. Even though I'm like, man, I've been, since I was like 16 or 17, I've been like making these cool more so documenting. So I guess that's the difference is like, I think that's healthy, you know, to document your life, obviously for, you know, your family and like, anything really down the line, you know, people can kind of, especially like your kids or whatever, you know, they're going to be like, yo, Christian was the man, you know, like, you know what I mean?
Banging out these podcasts when I was 2 years old.
Yeah. Like you get to learn so much about somebody if you share those things. Well, yeah, it's weird. I don't know.
I think I hear Emily here.
Oh, the kids are here. Yeah.
So I'll just kind of like, we can like wrap this up here in a few minutes, but I guess like I have two more things that I want to, I guess like I want to try incorporating some like segments at the end of my podcast. And so I wanted to try this one segment and just call it like lows and highs.
Okay.
Where it's basically just like talking about like what was like the lowest part of this last week that you experienced, and then like what was like the highest part of your last week. And you can be as vulnerable or superficial as you want.
That's a great way to put it. Lowest of lows. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting. There's a point during the week where I had this nasty cold that I'm just recovering from actually, but it really, I can hear him.
Oh yeah.
No, man, it really screwed me up. Like I had just finished 3 days of being on like a film commercial. So I was on this set and there's all these people around me and like it hit me right at the very end. It was like a couple hours left in the day and I'm just like, man, I'm starting to feel like my energy is just depleting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyways, so dude, I don't know. Like it just, that really sucked. And
dude, yeah, being physically dampered is like a big bummer.
Like you feel self-conscious and like there were even people asking like, hey man, you doing all right? You know, I'm like inside I'm like, nah, I'm dying right now. Like I also don't want like fluids to leak out of my nose while I'm on set trying to be professional. And like, so then the whole next day I had to like basically just sleep and I felt terrible because I was like, I'm just lazy, you know, I'm just here laying in bed trying to sleep and like pull myself together.
Yeah.
So that was definitely the lowest part of my week. But I think the high is really just like telling yourself like, yo, that's just like one day, or that's a couple days out of the week, you know, that maybe you took an L.
Yeah.
But like every time we wake up and like we have some opportunity to breathe and just like thank God for another day, you know, like that's a win.
Yeah.
And so
like almost thank goodness for the lows, because it reminds you of how much it sucks.
Yeah. It's
being
like,
in that state. And then when you're not there, it's like, all right, I feel good.
100%. Yeah. Like my health was starting to come back and I was like, oh my God, I feel 10 times better.
You're just like so thankful for emerging
like,
out of that.
I was like literally just like, I was pumped up, man.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, it was nice. And so I'd say that'd be my high. Yeah. Human connection too. I find myself when I am in between jobs or projects and things, I really do kind of just like become a hermit.
Yeah.
So when I can like link up with a homie, you know, like do something fun like this, I really enjoy that. It's always fun.
Yeah. Me too. Yeah. I
catch up with a good friend, you know.
Dude, my world has just been like screaming babies for the last like month. And so this dynamic is just like, I'm having to relearn how to do this. So thank you for humoring me. Okay. Last quick little question, then we can wrap this up. What is one practice or ritual or like protocol that you use on a daily or weekly basis that you believe has like helped you promote your well-being or reach your equilibrium or just like cause you to kind of level up? Like, what is one thing that works for you?
I would say physical activity. Mm-hmm. Like I thrive when I'm active, and my discipline on that front is taken care of. Like if that's my priority, whether that be running, going to the climbing gym, going to the climbing gym, or in this case, like stepping out and doing some Muay Thai or whatever. It's
like you've got to get that. Like that's got to be.
I need that,
fundamental.
Man. Yeah, it's crucial. It helps so much, and then it's hard to think. I'm gonna be honest.
No, it's cool, man. I mean,
should we wait? Like, should we wait a couple minutes?
Oh no, I mean, we could probably just wrap it up here. Okay, Riley Russill, you're the man. Thank you so much for doing this, like genuinely. It's been good catching up.
Dude, yeah, it's been really cool, man. It's nice to sit back and just chat.
It's good to connect, dude.
I need chop it up,
yeah. Okay, everybody, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I'll put Riley's whatever he wants down in the description, and go give him a follow, and make sure you go subscribe to his new YouTube channel that he's starting.
Oh, great. Nice.
Do you have a YouTube channel?
Not really. Like, you know how like you save like a domain or like a username?
So you have one.
So you have it?
Just like nothing posted or anything?
Not really. Yeah.
Okay.
But shout out to Christian for bringing me onto the Peacekeeper podcast.
Oh, yeah.
I really like the name of it.
Oh, thanks, bro. Peacekeeper.
Yeah, keep doing your thing, man. This is dope.
Thanks, man.
And maybe, maybe in the future, the fact that you have committed yourself and like you found some discipline and consistency in this, it'll really pull some of the areas of your life that you feel like are hard to put your head around. I think it's going to help you continue to formulate and like work through those things, especially like talking with different guests. That's probably my favorite thing about podcasts, is just how like enlightenment and like education you can receive just from like picking up on other people's, life experience.
Yeah.
It's unreal, dude.
Dude, and honestly, after recording a podcast,
you feel great.
I feel so, I mean, talk about like a high. Like I feel good. Like after we hit that record button, bro, I'm going to be like, all right, I did it. Yeah. Let's go. I'm going to feel amped up.
Yeah, man.
Dude,
I love it. So
thank you again.
Just keep going, man. Do your
thing. Dude, we got to have you back on. You'll be back on. If you're down,
next time,
anytime.
I'm excited for the next time.
All right, brother. Thank you so much. And Thanks for listening, everybody. Goodbye.